Hello. Let's begin with 2 deep breaths. Take a big breath in and letting it go. Another big breath in and letting it go. I'm setting the intention that this video is as eloquent and as potent as possible, helping you and assisting you right now. So this is a topic that I have been exploring for a very long time. And what I want to do today is give an insight on 2 different topics, actually. The first is astrology. How do we utilize it? How do we take advantage of the systems? And how can we really activate the principles to bring us the greatest power possible? And then how does that relate to the themes of fluidity, staying in the flow and being open to support on all levels? Okay, that's my thesis statement. Now I will go into subsection A, astrology. Okay, so just a teeny bit of background about myself and the way that I have sort of come to want to do this video. I studied Western astrology for 10 years, actually forever. I don't know, since I was a baby, until around 2005. So if you knew me until that point, I might have asked you for your birth time to get where the alignment of the planets were for you in your chart on my journey of study and exploration. In 2005, I was referred to a Vedic astrologer. So there's Western and then there's Eastern astrology. And Eastern astrology is studied by the Hindus, the yogis, and it believes that the planets have shifted, and so that in that shifting we need to change certain mathematics so that there's slight adjustments that make it different from Western. The biggest thing is that the rising sign in Vedic astrology really is everything. Okay, so in 2005, I got this reading and it kind of rocked my world, right? Because in Western, I'm an Aries sun, I'm a Libra rising, Sag moon, a lot of fire, a lot of air, just a lot of very different energy, forward moving, fluid energy, right? And then in Vedic astrology, I'm pretty much the exact opposite. I'm Virgo sun, excuse me, Virgo rising, which is like the equivalent of the sun in Western. It's the most important sign really is your rising. So I'm a Virgo in Vedic astrology with the influences of Pisces and Scorpio. So it being much more intuitive, introspective, much more watery and earth, just a totally different sign altogether. So it kind of began this like, wait a minute, what? I thought I was this and now I'm this. And so then I studied from 2005 Vedic astrology and gotten more familiar with those principles. And just recently, the last few weeks, I finally said to my guides, what is going on? I was getting kind of overwhelmed, just like, is this right? Is this right? Like, what's the deal? And what my guides told me was incredibly and intensely helpful for me, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. It blew my mind. Okay, so for those of you that have studied astrology, you know that the birth time is really important in either study. And what my guides told me, this is where it's just really blew my mind, just have to warm up my fingers just a little bit, whoa. What they told me was that the birth time is actually thinking of it more like a blood sample, which is kind of, it's a snapshot, right? So if I were to study my hormone levels over a period of time, if I were to take one blood sample, it would actually be very inaccurate, right? Because your hormone levels shift all the time. Very similar to the rising sign here, or any sort of moment in time where the planets are aligning in that exact moment. The first thing my guide says was, for anybody astrology studying this, it's kind of just blew my mind, and it sort of ruffled me a bit, still ruffles me now, is they said it's actually not that big a deal. What is a big deal, the second point they made, is the way that the planets are influencing us now, meaning the sun is in Sag right now. I actually don't know where the moon is in this exact moment. Anyway, where are the planets in this moment and how do they affect you? But even more excitingly, which I loved, was know all your charts, know your Western, know your Eastern, and then know how you want to use it. So since then, what I've been doing, which is great, is that I pull in my Aries sun when I'm wanting a little bit more fire. I pull in my Libra nature, which is my rising in Western, for a softness, for a greater connection into aesthetics and beauty. And then I pull in my Pisces, And my Virgo, right, when I'm wanting more sort of a more highly sensitive, psychic, intuitive moments where I'm wanting to ground more steadily as a Virgo, I pull in those energies. I pull in my Scorpio moon in Vedic astrology when I'm wanting those connections to those otherworldly realms, right, and all that Scorpio brings in. Anyway, you probably have a general sense of all of these archetypes, and what my guides were saying to me, and this is what I've been doing more recently, is using it when I want to use it, how I want to use it, which is much more empowering than what I've seen. I'm just going to go into it a little bit that I've seen in my own life that my guides were on me about, and I've seen it in my sessions as well. People will say things like, well, I can't date him because he's a Cancer, or the sun is eclipsing right now, so I won't leave the house for a few days. I'm a Libra, so I'm always going to be flighty, right? I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on with all these things that we can use archetypes in any way to become dogmatic, limiting, and letting us become judgmental and stagnant. So my guides pointed that out to me, and that really helped me, because we want to use systems like astrology to give us power, to give us clarity and insight, and to stay and keep us connected into a greater fluidity. So if you don't like what the chart says, this is what I kept seeing over my decades of studying, was that in readings people will be like, ooh, this is a challenge, but you got this over here. You got this over here that will help balance it. And everybody's always trying to balance it, which is great. But why can't we just do that on our own, in our own perceptions, right? Of just saying, okay, I want to balance this and I want to pull that in here. I want to take advantage of that planet. Because what my guides were very clear about is that these planets do have impact. And we can very potently utilize these universal energies to whatever it is that we want to, and however we want to more magnify our intentions and our creativity here on planet Earth. Whew. How does that relate to fluidity? It relates to fluidity because what I would love you to do, and this is what my guides had me do, which has been very helpful, is to look at the ways that you're rigid, right? Whether it's with astrology and you're like, oh, they're Taurus. You know, it's just the way they are, right? Or right as you categorize people and sort of pigeonhole them or pigeonhole yourself or others, what are the other ways that you do that with your meditation practice, with your yoga, with I don't care, whatever, with the way you fold your laundry, right? I'm not saying, I mean, there's some systems that are working and they're rigid and they're set and they're serving you. Battery's dying. Here we are. Okay, so and they're serving you. Great, fantastic. Keep using those systems. If you have anything that is keeping you entrapped or keeping you more rigid, that isn't helping you stand in your fullest power, see if you can loosen those reins a little bit. I've been loosening them from my insistence on my guides, and it's been so great. It's been so empowering, and I encourage you to explore it because, as my guide said to me recently, my job is to be a joy revealer in my life and in others, and the more that I loosen that rigidity, the more I focus on fluidity in any way, shape, or form, it brings me enormous pleasure and fulfillment. Just this last week, I was asked to play an angel in my son's Christmas pageant, and I was an actress till I was 30. So I'm 40 now. So what is that? It's a long time, right? Long time I was an actress. And so at first I said yes because I was flattered, you know, and then I spent a week of being in this like post-traumatic stress state of like, oh my God, I have to memorize. Oh my God, I have to be up on stage. And I kept thinking about, you know, how much I was attached. Well, I'm not an actress anymore, and all this stuff was coming up for me, right? It was just really coming up for me. I thought, I'm just going to stay fluid. I'm going to say yes to this. And I went last night, had a lot of resistance before I came on stage, the whole thing. I mean, it was like, woo, I was in the fire, just in talks of like rigidity. I'm not this anymore. What am I doing here? You know, all this stuff. And then I was able to actually let it go on stage, and it was really healing for me. And so I'm really grateful to my guidance that were encouraging me, let it go, right? We change all the time. My grandpa Pep would say that. I remember him being so powerful and wonderful, and he would say to me, you know, things change all the time, honey. And if you can stay in the fluidity of our changing world, there's more joy, there's more ease. It's a habit. The more we commit to it, the more peace we find. Lots of love to you.